Peace, everybody. It's the Black Fathers Academy, and I was doing some work this morning, right? Scheduling appointments and getting a runaround, and I just wanted to get these thoughts out about you know us as fathers, Black fathers, learning how to like handle our emotions while parenting. Some of us, we come from different backgrounds, and some of us, might come from the streets, or we had an orientation to the streets, such as myself, or we come from backgrounds where we were not emotionally stable. We've had anger issues and different things like that. And if we have not healed from those things or gotten those things checked or addressed, these things follow us into our parenting. And that could be to the detriment of your children, because the understanding is we want what's best for our children at all times, right? And if we can understand that, then we understand that we must exercise our ability to be at our best as much as possible. There is no perfect parent, no perfect father, but we want to make whatever improvement that we can make. And we want to make sure that when we are dealing with our children, that we are practicing extreme patience. Not saying that we're not holding them accountable, rendering discipline, punishment when needed, and things like that, but we are emotionally stable, because sometimes the way in which how we can view things from our children, specifically when they're getting older, and typically a lot of times for us as brothers, it can become major conflicts with our sons, and I know this from personal experience from both of my sons. One who is 19 right now, getting ready to turn 20, and I also have a son that is 14 right now, right? And I've seen from personal experience of the need for me to constantly center myself and understand how I process their behaviors and not personalizing it. And I think that's just one key to progressive parenting anyway, is not personalizing the behaviors of your children, because that's something that can easily happen. I know it happens with me a lot. That's an issue that I work through constantly, primarily with my older children, as far as personalizing some of their behaviors, feeling like certain things are directed at me personally, when in actuality, they're just being who they are at this time of their life, right? And when we can understand that about them, we can have a deeper understanding and also compassion for those things that they go through. Now, don't get me wrong, children will do stuff to get up under a parent's skin, right? But they would do that with anybody that represents whatever that thing is you're representing to them at that stage of their life. So, with that being understood, we have to, remove that person, that taking it personal out of that personalization. We have to remove that out of the picture. One thing that I know is that with some fathers, it can take on a very, very bad tone, to the point of physicality, uh, putting your hands on your children, like really losing your mind and things like that. And we want to be careful about how we behave, because you can go overboard and you can go to a point whereas you are affecting the possibility of repairing and improving your relationship with your child. You have some children that will not talk to their fathers because of something that they did 20 years ago and things like that, or a cumulative effect of things that they did or did not do. And so we want to make sure as fathers that we're always in the loop with our children, even if we have a distant relationship with our children, because sometimes depending on where your child is at, and sometimes depending on where you at, Distance can be necessary. And I think in a lot of black families, as far as when it comes to healing, distance is not really understood. Distance is seen as withdrawal. Withdrawal is when you're just not involved. Like, I withdraw. Distance is when you've taken certain steps back, you know, but the distance should be implemented in order for things to be able to heal, to be able to mend, and to be able to get back together. But these things have to be properly understood in the proper context emotionally, because there's a lot of us as black men who have not had the best relationship with our own fathers and things like that. We can take a lot of these problems and unhealed wounds, and we could pass these things on to our children by way of our parenting. And if we're dealing in a society where we feel like society comes down on us, and then we don't feel appreciated, just different things that we can feel, and then we feel like our children is in on that ambush, and things like that, we start to see them, or we can, in certain light, some of us as fathers start to see them as enemies, whereas though they're not our enemy. And we also have to understand and be honest about what we bring to the table as a father. We have to look at our behaviors. What have our behaviors been like over the years? Because I've talking to numerous fathers, over the years, and sometimes the hurt that comes from the journey is so bad that fathers do not really want to be corrected or be made to look at the errors that they have made that have contributed to the disorder within their children, whether it's directly to the child, or the way in which how you have dealt with the child's mother, or different children's parents, if you have multiple children by different women and things like that. And accountability is very, very necessary for us as fathers, is understanding ourselves in truth. Because you remember, the best teacher for your children is going to be your behavior. It's going to be your behavior and how you show up to life for yourself. That is going to be the greatest indicator of what you really believe in to your children. And I believe that the more and more you work sincerely and authentically on yourself in a certain transparent way, that will allow your children to be able to have a model to be able to mend themselves when needed. So, being honest about where we are, being honest about what we have done to our families negatively, if we have, is being honest about those things and being man enough to deal with the flack that comes along with that. Because that's another thing that I've noticed from a lot of black fathers, is that they cannot handle the backlash from the things that they've done. So sometimes the backlash is your children being angry at you, them not having a certain type of level of respect for you because of certain behaviors that you have exhibited over the years. And if you are truly in a transformational process, you have to suck that up. I'm not saying that you should be in a situation where you're just allowing somebody to beat you down in a corner or anything like that. But you must humble yourself to understand that you have affected something. And in order for you to correct that, you're going to have to deal with some blows. You're going to have to. And I'm not saying don't set boundaries on how people talk to you or your children and things like that. But if you know that there are certain critical things that have taken place that you have just handled totally wrong, you have to accept that. You really have to accept that. And that could be very hard, because you have to step away from your ego. You have to do away with the pride and things like that. And you have to learn how to step away from the guilt, because even though to feel guilt is to acknowledge that one has done something wrong, you're not going to be able to grow and not be able to transform in guilt, because guilt will become a revolving cycle, you know. And one of the things that we want to do with our children is we want to develop healthy communication with them over the years, where we are not dealing with them based on our assumptions. When we start to deal primarily with assumptions, that is an indicator that our communication is not healthy, it's not clear, it's not transparent. So we want to work in that area where we work to know, where we have direct communication, a direct line with our children, where we are understanding some things about them and how they see us and things like that, and how better to help them, you know, is by listening, you know, is by listening to them, and you know, having a deep understanding of who they are. So I just wanted to, you know, get down on this a little bit before I get to moving around a little bit more. This message came to me today. I'm definitely going to be talking more about this, as far as the importance of our emotional stability and understanding that we have to be about the business of putting things in its proper context. Um, Everybody have different relationships with their children. I'm not trying to come from a view that all black fathers have messed up. That's not the case. This talk right here is geared towards fathers who have found themselves in that space a lot, you know. Um, and I look forward to the feedback, the comments, the suggestions, and things like that. You know, I look forward to these things. You know, but some of my things will be geared towards the negative experiences and things like that, because what I would like to prevent, or what I would like to minimize, is the father not being the foundation of the family as he should be, right? But we're also going to acknowledge healthy, functional fathering relationships. Those things should be acknowledged. Those stories should be told as well. But we also got to dig into a lot of the negativity, the crap and crud that fathers have experienced, you know, and we have to be honest about those things. Please subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you for watching. I'll be back at you soon. Peace.